Today I'm talking to Jodie Gray, founder of Home of the Mall. Home of the Mall was launched in November 2020 and is a UK selling platform for small businesses. Some of the UK's best small businesses are listed on the ever-growing site. Hello Jodie, welcome to the show.
Hiya, hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Would you like to start by just telling us a little bit more about you and how you came to start Home of the Mall?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in some form of business for many, many years. I started a cleaning company back when I was just 20 years old, and I grew that for 11 years. So I've always worked for myself. So it's definitely something that once you've done that, you find it very difficult to not work for yourself.
Yes.
But actually, I did take a break from self-employment about 5 years ago, which is where I met Paul, my business partner. And yeah, and it sort of went on a journey of sort of five, 6 years of being employed. And then we had lockdown. And in the first lockdown back in March, I decided that I wanted to be self-employed again, but I didn't know what. And then I realised that, hold on a minute, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of small businesses out there. And I just thought I wanted to create something that was an affordable platform for these small businesses. Yeah, so it's no secret that the platform that I have hasn't been done before, but what we offer certainly hasn't been offered before.
So
Yeah.
what makes you different to say something like Etsy or Not on the High Street? Because that's kind
Yeah.
of a competition, isn't it? So what makes you different to them?
So absolutely. So with Etsy, again, I am absolutely not going to sit here and say anything bad at all about these other sites, because they work amazingly for some businesses, and that's what this is all about. It's about people, doing what they love and selling what they love. However, I found that on Etsy, whenever I went in, I would suddenly find a product from Texas, which is all very lovely and great, but it's not where I want to be purchasing a product from.
I have exactly the same problem. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
really annoys me because I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I got a little bit frustrated, and I thought, well, hold on a minute, let's base it in the UK. So then obviously that leads us on to Not on the High Street, who are obviously amazing. They've done incredibly well. They are doing incredibly well. But one thing I realised is that their fees are quite high. So I thought, well, that's a little loophole for me there too. So we decided to create a site that was free, completely free to list. There's no membership, there's no joining fee, and you only pay if and when you sell your product.
Yeah.
I mean, as a consequence of that, we do kind of go for an application process with the businesses, just to ensure that it's right and it fits with what we're trying to offer as a platform.
Yes. Yeah. So how do you find your new people? How? Because I was thinking before we started the call, you've kind of got two. It's twice as hard for you because you not only have to find your sellers to come and obviously show their products on your site, which I've been on the site and they're gorgeous products, they're really lovely, but you've also then got to market your site so that you can sell their products for them. But how does that first stage work? How have you managed to sort of get out in front of those sellers, the kind of sellers that you want to attract? How does that work for you?
Well, we're really new. I mean, we only launched back in November. So, and the business name, I think, only came about in July. I think, yeah, July time. So I had from July to November to try and I wanted at least 100 businesses to launch with. And it's a lot of hard work. Hours and hours and hours, emails, researching, and mainly my main source is Instagram. So I would go on and I would, have a look at the wonderful businesses and drop an email and say, hey, look, we're a new platform. Would you like to be, involved? That was really, really successful. And the great thing about that is that it didn't cost anything apart from my time.
Yes.
So that was wonderful. And Facebook a little bit, but not so much. It's definitely, we work predominantly on Instagram rather than Facebook. And that's where a lot of the, certainly the vendors come from. As things have moved forward, we've got paid adverts at the moment that are going out as well via the social media platforms. So and they're working great, actually. They're doing what they need to do, some based on vendors and some based on customers. And from a customer's point of view, again, because we're very, very new, this is, I don't know whether you agree with me here, it's a constant trial and error scenario.
I think most people will agree that at some point where you just kind of start and you're like, and it is, a lot of business, I think, is trial and error, if we're all being really honest with each other.
So at the moment, I think for us, it's about getting our name out there. You know, we want to be as big and as well known as some of these other wonderful sites. So and that is, again, just persistence and consistency, I think. Obviously we're doing the whole Google Ads thing and various other sort of things that we've got on the go. But again, we're still analysing very much the market. We're still sort of finding our feet within that at the moment, because we're brand new.
Well, yes, yeah. And how many, are you able to tell me how many kind of retailers you've got? Did you hit your 100 to launch?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got way over 200 now, and and daily we get applications daily coming through, which is just amazing. It's just brilliant. It's a really lovely feeling, actually, when a vendor does come on board, because it's exciting. It's the products are just, they're, like you said earlier, they're all so diverse, and they're just so lovely. They're good quality products. They're made in the UK from people, in their houses, probably juggling homeschooling and everything else that's going on. So I'm really grateful for every business that comes on board, not just because, it's my business and I'm proud, but because it's lovely to know that they're still pushing through despite how difficult things are at the moment.
Well, yes, people are showing great resilience at the moment, aren't they? And really having to find new ways of doing things. I mean, obviously, e-commerce has taken a massive rise over the last, well, gosh, it's nearly a year now, isn't it? But still, you have to do things slightly differently, don't you? Because of everything that's going on. So with regards, I just wanted to talk about the website, actually, because that must have been, I mean, it's, if I want to just sell something, I can go and sign up to Shopify and sell stuff, but obviously for you it's not been quite that easy when it comes to the actual platform. How did you go about figuring out how to get all that set up so that it works smoothly enough for you and your retailers and the customers?
Again, trial and error. We had a couple of things sort of to start off with, and we ditched those, and if I'm completely honest, I can't remember what the names were of them. But we did settle for a WooCommerce store, so WordPress, at the moment, which works. We will rebuild the site from scratch 100%, because with a platform like WordPress, it's amazing, and it does do what it does do, and it's very practical, and it's enabled us to have a platform, a multi-vendor platform, which we do have hundreds of sellers on there, and we do have the ability for customers to come and shop, and it's quite a nice shopping experience, so that's wonderful. However, naturally, as a business grows, you realize what it can't do. So then you kind of think, actually, now's the time that we need to, because we've recoded quite a lot of it, which again is great, but there's only so much recoding you can do for everything to work for all the other plugins involved within WordPress and e-commerce. So we are somewhat restricted, and we have big ideas and big plans. So we will rebuild the site from scratch eventually.
So do you think were you thinking you're going to have to go down a custom build, or are there platforms out there? I don't even know. Are there platforms out there that kind of have this functionality?
Both. There definitely are products out there that give you the whole package. Personally, no, I think we'll customize it. We'll do it from scratch, because it's really important that it's, when you've got a platform like Etsy that offer, and really, when people are posting things on platforms, their products on platforms, they get used to a format, and people are very used to the Etsy format. We've been conditioned to kind of, oh, well, we know this, and if we don't know it, we've got to know it, because this is what 99% of the population are using. Very high exaggeration there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think we need to kind of build something that is similar and works on a similar strategy as all of these other companies that are working well, because that's what people are used to. So we probably will design it from scratch, which is really exciting, actually.
Yes, and I guess you've got the experience now where you're, as you say, you're starting to see which bits are not working how you want them to, and which bits or which functionalities you don't have that you need. So I guess then that gives you a really good base to start from, and to actually say, right, this is exactly what we need it to do and how we need it to do it. And I suppose just as importantly for a site like this, how it needs to look as well, because it is a very, you need it to look visually appealing, don't you? It can't just look like any old other.
Absolutely, that was a real that was really, really important for me. It had to look nice when people sort of, stumbled upon it, and it still is important. That will forever be important to me, because if I go on a website, I base it on how I feel when I visit, websites. And if a website doesn't quite look right or feel right, then you leave. You don't pursue anything on there. So it was really important for me to make it look and feel good for the customer.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's a purely visual thing, and yet we do place so much trust in the fact that we just look at just purely looking at a website, and that tells us, rightly or wrongly, I mean, it doesn't actually, if you think about it, but it is so important that to have that feeling of trust and of security and safety, as well as, oh wow, these products are gorgeous. So that's so important, so important. So obviously you haven't been going, how long is it? No, 3 months, 4 months, so not very long. What are you finding are the hardest things, and what are your biggest challenges that you're finding at the moment?
To be honest, it's the functionality of the website behind the scenes. So when you've got so many vendors and when you've got so many products, there's always going to be something that needs tweaking. There's always going to be something, we're dealing with technology, and let's face it, when you click your phone, or you scroll on your phone and it doesn't scroll straight away, or you click an app and it doesn't open, that's just the nature of technology. These things don't always work as and when we need and want them to. So the website is a daily task. There's always something that we go, right, okay, that needs to be slightly tweaked, or that needs to be changed, or we need to, there's always something to be sort of pulled and prodded from each side of the behind the scenes on the website, which is great, because not only does it mean we're learning, but it means that the platform is forever growing and becoming a better place for people.
And do you have to do all that, or do you have somebody, like a web developer, who helps you with all of that stuff? Because it's I'm sure we've all been there and pressed something in the back end and gone, oh, I just broke it.
Absolutely. So I do a lot of the if you think of behind the scenes on the dashboard, I know my way all around there, and I know sort of what I'm doing. When it comes to the recoding, when it comes to all of those, no, that's absolutely not me. We have Paul obviously helps out on that side, but we also have another chap as well that is on board that's helping with that. So there's a few fingers in the pie, which is good, because it's
and I wanted to talk as well, because obviously, because I've got a PPC background, and I was quite interested, because when you're paying for ads for a normal in inverted commas e-commerce business, you have sort of margins that you can work with. They have quite high margins, and so there's a bit more leeway, I guess, really, to make it profitable. But I was thinking, for you, that must be much harder. Are you finding that a challenge? Because obviously you're only getting like a percentage of the revenue, which means that your ad costs have to be lower. Are you finding that a struggle? How are you kind of managing that and making sure that you're actually profitable when you're doing that?
Yeah, so we do have a budget in mind, and I think the way I've taken on this business it's a lot different from the way I've kind of worked with other businesses in the past, actually. But this one to me is, I need to create a brand that is so strong, and that will cost me. That is going to be costly. And I think when you surrender to that idea, when you realize that actually, you know, for the next 2-3 years, this is all about putting back. You have to put back in everything and maybe a little bit more. When you're so convinced and so happy with something and you know that this is going to work, then you just, like I just said, you give in to the idea that yes, you are going to be paying out a little bit more than what you're going to be getting back, purely because of the nature of the site. But this is a long-term project. This is this is a very long-term business. This isn't something that I just want to go, oh, you know, in a couple of years I'll let it go and do something else. No, this is something that I want to, you know, be sustainable and work for many, many years. So therefore, I need to put in that time and money now to be able to say that in 10 years' time, you know, we've got 5,000 sellers on the site and we've got X amount of thousand products on the site, and you know, we won't need to do half as much advertising because people will hopefully know who we are. So that's the theory I'm taking with it at the moment, and I'm very much hoping it's going to work.
And I can hear your passion as well. It's inspiring to like listen to hear you speaking about it, and what you want it to become is absolutely wonderful. And yeah, I think you're right. You know, you do have to. You're investing in more than just, like, as you say, profit today. You're investing in building that brand, which, you know, hopefully will become huge in the UK. So with, just because this is a, you know, like I said, a marketing-ish podcast.
Yeah.
I presume you do other kind of marketing, do you have other marketing channels that you use? Do you do email marketing and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we're still, again, creating our database. I know that there's all sorts of ways you can kind of gain names for your database, but I'm a great believer in, you know, trying to have people on there that actually want to be on there. So I'm really trying to kind of grow it as organically as possible. So our database is growing, and that's great. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the emails are done sort of directly to the sellers at the moment, so that it's about promoting, you know, Valentine's Day, right, guys? You know, we're up for our Valentine's Day, sort of, let's get all your products on for that. And then if we've got a sale going on, like we did after Christmas, you know, you give them a deadline and they upload them, and that's great. And we were able to do a sale. So yeah, it's so the emails, yes, but not so prominently at the moment, purely because the database is quite small. Naturally, we're doing the social media side of things. So we've got a few sponsored ads on both of the social medias. A little bit of offline stuff. We featured in a local magazine recently, which was really great. So yeah, so we've kind of, we try again. We're sort of trying every avenue really to see what sort of comes up and works, I suppose.
Well, yes, and I suppose I would imagine for you as well, kind of word of mouth is going to be quite valuable for you, because it is that kind of website that somebody will find. However they find it, they'll find it and realize that the lovely products you've got and go, oh, hey, and then they will share it. And I suppose that hopefully will be quite a valuable source of new customers for you as well, won't it? Yeah. And do you find, I was just thinking, because I guess with email marketing, it's quite, are you in quite a difficult position, because you've got essentially two sets of people to email to, haven't you? So obviously, used to say you've got your sellers, but then you have got your customers. Do you kind of have to just segment them out so that you know exactly who you're selling? How does that work? What do you use for your email?
Well, at the moment we're using MailChimp, but again, I think once we rebuild the website from scratch, we'll be able to internally email all of our vendors. So that'll be a successful way of kind of keeping them grouped. So yes, at the moment we're using MailChimp. We've got two different audiences. So yeah, it's it's one of them. It's kind of you look at something, you go, I just need to walk away for a minute and have a coffee and come back and look at that again, because it just does this. It crosses wires, and yeah. So it's and it's really important to get that bit right as well, I think, because if you start making the mistake of, you know, emailing, for example, our customers something, you know, an email for a vendor, it's really unprofessional. And I know mistakes happen, but it's really, it's really important for me to try and get things right. So yeah,
when you want to, because you say you want to show them how professional you are, that you're not by night somebody that's just trying to kind of with some quick win, you know, you do want to build that, and it's the trust thing as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's and it's all a lot of time. I can remember I saw recently Joe Wicks posted on his Instagram his 10-year overnight success, and I keep coming back to that moment of thinking, you know, I had a chat with somebody the other day about it as well, and I thought it's so true. And if you can hold on to that, it's actually really inspiring, because you remind yourself every day, and the hours you put in, and the moments you wake up in the morning and something's there and you need to do it, and then you go to bed and you go, oh no, I need to do this, and it's that 10-year overnight success. It will pay off.
It's do you find it hard sometimes keeping the faith? Because I mean, I started my first business in 2003, and it has been, you know, I'm first to admit it's been very up and down, and there are times when I just think, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? What's the point? It's just too stressful.
Get a proper job.
And well, exactly. And my dad always used to, when are you going to get a proper job? I'm unemployable now, incidentally. I've been doing it so long. But do you find, how do you manage to keep yourself when you have those days where you think, oh, am I, you know, are we doing the right thing? Is this going to be what we want it to be? What do you do to kind of keep yourself going?
It's a really interesting question, that, actually, because if you had asked me that probably 5 years ago, I would have said I just don't know anymore, and I probably would have gone, oh, maybe I'm not doing the right thing, but fast forward to now with a project that I'm completely in love with. This is my baby. This is something that my fourth baby then, because I already have 3. This is
ones, you mean?
This is something that in my head I have no option. There is no option for failure, whatever that word means, because I don't like that word anyway, because we only ever learn. But there's no option for this not to work. It has to work. So therefore, when I have those, and I do have those moments where I'm usually when I'm cooking dinner and I'm just zoning out, and I just suddenly go, oh, really? Is this really going to work? I feel like I've got a mountain to climb. And then you say yes, because you've already climbed half of one of the first mountains, and you've done that okay, you know, you're still standing. I've really learned, and it's taken a lot, that you have to literally flick that switch in your head and tell yourself, even if you don't purely 100% believe it at that point, that no, this is the right thing to do. And then you believe it again. I'm not saying that is easy at all, because I didn't do that for years. But with this business I am, because it has to work. I want it to work, and it will work. You know, that's how I feel.
It makes such a big difference that you believe in it so much as well. You're not just kind of you're not just kind of going through the motions. You're actually doing something you truly believe is going to be the right thing, you know, and a good well, I want to call it a product, but obviously it's not a product, but a good system, a good concept. And it's wonderful to hear the passion that you're talking about. And it's interesting you saying, when you said about looking, you know, thinking you've got a mountain to climb, and looking back and seeing, I walked up, my grandson, I think he was 3, 4, and I decided to walk him up the Sugarloaf in Abergavenny, and it's like, come on Alfie J, let's go, you know, and you've got all the backpack full of treats, and you just want to get him up there, and you know, he's looking ahead, and you're going, we're going up to the top of that. Oh no. And then it got to the point where that was it, he'd had enough. He's like, oh, there's so far to go. And I turned around and I went, look how far we've come. And that kind of made him realise how far he'd already come.
Don't give up now.
Yes, he could make it to the top, because we've already done most of it, because it's behind us. But it's so easy to not turn around and have a look and see how far you've come. And I think so many of us struggle with that, and I definitely do. And all I see, and sometimes is, well, I can't do this and I can't do that, or that hasn't worked. You get to look back and see, well, actually, but that worked, and this worked, and you know, had these successes along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and yeah, it's so important to do that. Where So obviously you have a wonderful vision and a wonderful plan. Do you have any sort of tangible numbers that you want to get to? Where do you sort of, is in 5 or 10 years time, are you aiming at revenue goals? Are you aiming at just number of seller goals? Or do you have those kind of numbers in your mind, or are you just pushing as hard as you can?
Do you know what? It's really strange. I have had numbers at each point up until this point. And I always used to have very vivid and very realistic goals in my cleaning company. I also had a small clothing brand as well. Yeah, it was very strategic and very, but with this, I've kind of not given myself those. I think, yeah, maybe deep down I kind of think, yeah, in 10 years I visualize what my life will be. I don't necessarily visualize the numbers. I visualize what my life will be, how I will feel, where I will be, maybe the house I will live in, or whatever that visualization is. But I haven't put a cap on it, and I haven't. I'm quite realistic with my goals. So if I don't achieve them, I very quickly do achieve them afterwards. I'm, yeah. So no is the answer, the short answer to what I've said. Maybe that's the wrong thing. I don't know. But all I know is I put every ounce of any spare time and extra time and, wherever those extra hours in the day into this business. And I will have great faith. Oh, and I know that I couldn't put any more in. So what will come out of it will be exactly what's meant to come out of this. So yeah, and I'm always driven. I think if I wasn't as driven about this as what I am, I would probably need those goals to keep me inspired, to keep me. And every day, there'll be certain points of a week, and I'll go, oh, how many vendors did we have apply? How many vendors have been approved? What can we do next week? So on a short term, I probably do that, just gets you through the weeks, it gets you through the days, it gives you a good insight. But long term, if I'm honest, sorry, I've blabbered on for this question a bit longer than I should have really, but no, I don't think I do have, maybe that's, I don't know.
It's obviously that's working for you, because I've set goals. I've written on a sheet of paper, I want, this many clients, this much revenue, blah, blah, blah. And you write them down, but they don't mean anything because they're not coming from your heart. Whereas what you're saying to me and what I can feel with the way that you're speaking is that, no, you might not have a set number, but there's so much passion behind what you're doing that, as you say, you're going for a lifestyle, the vision is the goal, not necessarily the numbers.
Yeah.
That's lovely to hear that from you. And as I said before, it's quite inspiring, actually. Quite emotional, because it is inspiring to hear you speak like that about the business. But it's not just a business, it really is a all-encompassing.
It really is. And I've got, the small businesses that are on board with us, I speak to a lot, we mainly through Instagram, actually. And we voice message, and they're great. I really like every single one of those businesses. We've got good relationships, and you can see what they're up to on their Instagram page, so you can support them. And it's not just about me sat here saying I want to build this business and create this platform that's going to, all for me. It's not about that, because it wouldn't work. This is about knowing that I had 2 small businesses in the past, and I know how hard it is to have a small business. You've got so much competition out there. And yeah, so I just wanted to create something that would, sort of cup them all together and say, hey, come on, let's try and get this working together, And if I didn't have that passion for small businesses, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, it sounds like a fabulous community that you're building, and you're there as their cheerleader, kind of waving the flag and sort of like, come on, guys, and sort of helping them and making them realise that it's not just them. I'm imagining, if I was a small retailer, I'd think, I'd really value the fact that there's somebody there cheering me on and kind of looking to help me win, not just after themselves,
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I think it's beautiful, and the website is amazing. The products You've got some absolutely gorgeous products on there, and I need to spend a little bit more time browsing through the website, and I will sign up for your email list so that I can be on and hear from you when you have to announce things. But I just wish you so much success with this, because I can tell how much it means to you, and I can see just by looking at the website that it's an amazing idea, and I know it will be successful just because of the passion that you're putting into it, and the community. You're obviously creating a community of sellers as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wish you so much success, and I really look forward to seeing how much it grows and how big, you can make it bigger and better. And yeah, if people want to reach out to you, I presume either sellers or buyers, what's the best way for them to do that, to get in touch with you?
They can either, well, our social medias, we're always on there, always checking those. Obviously through the website, www.homeofthemall.com. There's a contact page on there. But yeah, Instagram is always a good one too. Not really very much presence on Twitter, so sorry for all the Twitter lovers out there. So yeah, I would definitely say Instagram or Facebook would be the two main platforms.
Okay, well, I'll put the links to those in the show notes, and it's houseofthemall.com is the website. So obviously then you'll have all your contact information there as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I have really enjoyed it. It's been an inspiration, as I said before, and good luck with House of the Mall.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me on today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.